Hello everybody, how you doing? Hope you having a great day today. So I'm continuing my Road to 2001 series. I haven't played in a while, so I played 2 games today. So let's see how I'll do. So I played both games as white, and here's my first one. So I start with my English, and he goes for an Indian defense, and then he eventually goes into this weird move with c6. Probably become a Slav after d5. So I ended up playing d4. And he played e6. I expected an immediate d5, but I guess he likes a semi-Slav triangle. But I just continue my development. This is an inaccuracy because I just wanted to get the Slav. I could have instead played e4 here, taken more space. And yes, he could have played d5, but I have e5 stuff, and I'll have more space inevitably. And I played d5. Then this is now against the Slav. I like this move, Bishop g5. It's known as the anti-Miran gambit. I don't know any theory, but I like it because it also simultaneously threatens e4. So he tries to kick my bishop out. I identified taking as the best move. This bishop is locked, and I did some calculation because after takes I play e4. Now they have the bishop here, but look, light squared bishop is locked behind this pawn chain. I'm gonna play like e5 next. And the dark squared bishop only has one move. They take my c pawn, which is a mistake actually, because it gets me free development. Now he played b5, trying to kick my bishop. Yes, I could have played bishop b3 here, but it's not very active on this diagonal with like these 2 pawns blocking it. And since I have a space advantage, I thought maybe I'm gonna start an attack. And the best way to start an attack is on this diagonal. Put my bishop on this diagonal, because it aims at the enemy king side very well. Now, then black played knight d7, just developing another piece, but that allows me to play e5. There are 2 reasons I play it. Number 1, it opens up the scope of my bishop and attacks the queen. So, actually 3 reasons. Second of all, I get a pawn chain facing the king side, which will help support my attack. I gain space, and also allows for future knight e4 and get this one of these 2 really nice outposts, which is very important later on. They just move back to the starting square, makes sense. And I played a3. It looks a bit dubious, but my reasoning was, well, if I castle, is then playing b4. It doesn't really affect me because I have knight e4 or knight e2, rerouting my knights to the king side for an attack. But, I thought it was scary, so I played a3. This is bad because now after b4, after takes, they can recapture. I have an isolated pawn. Now I thought here I would be better because black has 2 isolated pawns now, and I have the open rook. So maybe I could attack this isolated pawn and maybe win it. Apparently not. Stockfish prefers me just not to play a3, but he didn't play b4 anyway, and he just played bishop e7, just developing his bishop. I castle, and he castles. And here I play knight e4. It's an inaccuracy because it can get kicked with f5. And here after f5, en passant, he can just develop his knight. So if I try and put my knight here or something, this is bad because after takes, I have doubled isolated pawns, and they're gonna win them. And also, even after I win this d6 pawn, I'm gonna have an IQP, and this diagonal is sort of shut down because of the f5 pawn. So, that's why it's an inaccuracy. But he didn't play f5, he played bishop b7, which is a weird move. I play rook c1, further controlling c5, and possibly gonna, eye this pawn. He play rook c8, and I play bishop b1. I've got a bit of tunnel vision with my attack. I was like, oh, I'm gonna play queen d3 and I'm gonna get checkmate. My opponents aren't stupid. But they played f6. Here, I can't really take, because they can recapture with the knight developed, and we're probably gonna trade off my really good knight. Additionally, I open up the queen and activate the pieces while I have an IQP, and I don't really have many attacking chances here. So I play queen c2. The point of this move is after they take, it's not knight f6 check. This is a blunder because they can recapture the knight and defend this mate. It is actually knight d6. If they move the rook, it's checkmate. I didn't notice the knight actually covers the square. So I thought, after the king moves here, I'm probably going to have like bishop g6 check. They're going to have to move the king up. It's going to be bad for them. Like I can take here. But it is just checkmate. So they can't move their rook. They have to like defend mate with like knight f6 or something. And I get a nice exchange. They didn't fall for that though. And they played f5. I actually spent like a solid 10 seconds trying to on-pass on. No, that's not how it works. But applying knight 96. It's not a good move, because after takes, I have these double isolated pawns. This diagonal shut down. And it's just, overall, just not too good for me. But they made a mistake, and they played knight f6. The reason this is a mistake is a bit obscure, but it's after queen c5. I'm like gonna move my way, target this backward pawn, and this passed pawn might actually become a queen after like 95, and I have some sort of ideas like that. They just play h6 for like no apparent reason, and I just bring my knight in. I did contemplate moving my queen here, but I just thought, they can defend it pretty easily, but then again, I can have this attack, but they can move the king avoiding the check, and I'll just pin myself. But I just moved my knight into the action, and they played 94 here. I just take in this case, because queen e5 is blocked. After they capture, I have knight g6. It attacks the rook and threatens this defended fork in case of like rook f7. This passed pawn, these double pawns, are actually saving the game. They attack my queen, but, it's still a fork. It's a triple fork. I can just take that rook. Very nice, right? I move, and I take the rook, and I take this pawn, and I have an isolated pawn, but I'm up in exchange. And we play a couple more moves, like he's trying to control this open file and maybe get some attack going. I offer a queen trade. They just, bring the queen over, might get some sort of attack with a discovered c5. Queen back to g3, attacks this pawn, and I actually set up a trap here. It sort of attacks this pawn here. So I played rook e1, this rook because it's a trap, and I'll show you here. Because if they take, I have rook e7. This is a double attack, but the queen just defends. And the reason I went rook e1, this rook c e1, instead of here, after takes, my queen is the only defender of this, and it just felt scary. So, here, this is what the line that went down. And he played rook f6, which just blunders mate in 1. So he resigned. So that was my first game. Let's move on to the next game. Okay, so this is my second game I played. I got white again, and I played slightly worse opponent at 1488. Anyway, so it's an English reverse Sicilian. I knew words for this weird sideline called the Anglo-Dutch, but I like to think of it as a sort of Grand Prix. I just go with my main setup. But then, one thing you have to notice, I didn't go knight f3 first, because they have e4. So I was planning on fianchettoing my bishop, playing d3, and then knight f6. Because if they take, I can just recapture and I have like knight g5 sort of stuff. But they play c6. This is sort of weird variation. Was kind of like an alapin, but you played f5. I play this sort of main line of the alapin for for black, where I played d4. You know, the point of d4 is after you take, after queen takes, you can't kick my queen out. So it stands pretty nicely on this square. But he didn't take, he just took more space with e4. I calculated this through, and I saw that then I can play f6. It does weaken the e3 square, but for now my bishop covers it, and I'm threatening to win it. And you do get d5, but I have a lot of pressure on this pawn center. So it's sort of like a Karo Khan. In a Karo Khan you get less space, but you're gonna sort of try and win and break down the center. I play bishop g5, you know, trying to, and he, you know, reinforces it. And I play queen b3. This is kind of a fork, not really, but they played b6, defending this pawn. And I take, they recapture. I take this one, sort of weakening the king side. They're gonna go for some sort of attack on this file, but I think this pawn is defended and this fianchetto bishop is sort of helping defend. And I noticed that this pawn is actually pinned. This one. So it's not actually defending this. I take with the knight, when I could have clearly taken with this, the bishop, because it's pinned sort of both ways, and I'm gonna win this pawn actually. There's no way to defend it. I took with the knight because, oh, knight's in the center, this has better scope or whatever. You know, not really threatening anything. He just developed, and I decide to stop his bishop pair, because I don't really want any attack going on. I don't think he can do much, but it's not a bad move. I just developed some more, and he castled kingside actually, which was odd, because you have an open g-file. I'm not really sure how I can exploit it, but that was my idea the whole game, to try and exploit it. Maybe break open the center to exploit the g-file. He just develops, and I bring my rook out to this nice open file. Try and control the c-file, maybe double up there actually, because this skewer looks very nice and tasty. He attacks my queen, and I didn't find this scary because I just have queen d3. It's actually not the best move, but I like it to support e4. Now, after like, let's say a random move by my opponent, after e4, yes, I will get this isolated queen pawn, but I do believe I can defend it sufficiently, and also I might have attacking chances because of the open g-file, or semi-open g-file. But, my opponent, outputs the knight on c4. And I calculated, you know, b3, the knight has to, like, go back, or go on a3, which isn't very good. And I'm gonna get e4 in the future. But I got tunnel visioned, and I forgot this knight attacked this pawn. So I thought, maybe why not e4 now? Because if e4 now, if you take, I can recapture, but it's defended. I didn't realize that. But I went e4 anyway. He plays knight takes b2, an obvious move. And I go queen b3, kind of not exactly pinning the bishop, but it also attacks the knight at the same time. The knight moves back, and I take the pawn, getting me the isolated queen's pawn. Now here, I got tunnel visioned again. I don't like... Yes, I could get the rook and bishop, knight and bishop for a rook, but I don't like imbalanced positions. I can't play them too well. And even though I have attacking chances with the isolated queen's pawn, and the two minor pieces help in attacking better, while rooks favor endgames, I was like, nah, I don't like this trade. So I just went knight h4. You know, trying to get this bishop off, because it's pinned to this rook, and I'm gonna win the knight. You know, I'm trying to win a free knight. he takes, and I recapture. Because if I don't recapture, if I try and take this knight with check, bishop goes back. But I recapture, and then I had to wait like a solid 6 minutes. I have to wait 6 minutes and 14 seconds just because this guy couldn't bother hitting the resign button, but couldn't bother abandoning the game either. He wanted me to waste 6 minutes of my life waiting for him to move. And he just got timed out. But you can just go queen d5 here. And I think your knight can be defended like sufficiently. Like if I block or something, then yes, I might get some pressure on it. Like if I unpin myself, I can get some, but like by the time I unpin it, you can defend it. Or even better, you can probably just defend your queen and apply pressure to this pawn. If I open the analysis here, it's just a draw. If I just go back. Yeah, it's just I'm slightly better here. 0.8, but it's just basically a draw. But I'll end it there today, and I'll see you next time.